I think that with Sogobujutsu being formed and forged for 2,000 years, and then the introduction of the gun comes at the end of the 2,000 years. I think the introduction of the gun is what made everybody think flushing the hand-to-hand combat stuff.
1442.
Oh, 1442.
1442. They've been training. Yeah,
okay.
They've been training firearms ever since.
Okay.
And 1442, this is what happened. The Portuguese showed up, Portuguese traders, and they had firearms. And the samurai were like, "Whoa, what?"
And they wanted to learn it.
Oh my gosh,
right.
give me that. They traded for the best firearms, and then they immediately took the firearms. So as soon as they got these weapons and they realized that they were functional, they took them to the lesser blacksmiths and they said, "This doesn't seem to be something that's difficult to produce. You're used to folding and pounding steel to make an amazing blade. Just cast this iron and try to improve upon the Portuguese design." You know, they said to these blacksmiths, "This is what you're going to do for the rest of your life, and this is what your children are going to learn from you. I want rifles. I want endless amounts of rifles." And that really, from 1442 on, there was a time period in which they tried to abolish the use of guns for about 100 years, but it was unsuccessful. The reason why they tried to abolish the use of guns is because they started getting really accurate. You had a warrior that trained his whole life, and there's nothing stopping that lead round from ripping your leg off or putting a massive hole in your chest.
So my point of it was like, I was saying that to say, like, once the gun was introduced, don't you think like people started saying, well, forget training, we'll just get a gun. I mean, and I've dealt with that in my experience where I have people say, "Oh, you train martial arts, why don't you just buy a gun and pull the trigger? Why waste your time training martial arts?"
Yeah, but real quick though, that's the same mentality as Ancient Man. Ancient Man realized that big guy right there, the guy can run really fast. And he can also beat the living crap out of me. So I'm going to throw a spear through his chest. That's Ancient Man. All cultures developed the spear. All cultures were chucking it through a guy because they didn't want to encounter that guy. And they didn't want to have to deal with him swinging his axe or swinging whatever the heck he was swinging, even his fist. So everybody became interested in that. And then all cultures simultaneously, it seems, came up with archery. I mean, you got Englishmen, you got everybody had, I mean, Native Americans, everybody became experts at this. The Mongolians were amazing. Their archers could shoot incredible lines from horseback. The Japanese weren't too shabby either. So what was that about? You know, did everybody stop learning how to fight because you could pick a man off from horseback? you know, the gun is just is a continuation of martial ability. When it was adopted to the Japanese arsenal, it wasn't, "I'm going to stop training hand-to-hand combat." It was simply the next art. There were the projectile arts, and under which fell archery, firearms, blowguns, everything that was projectile, throwing knives, throwing stars, throwing anything that was projectile. So this concept of teppojutsu, the art of firearms, some use the term hojutsu, but that term was actually used for sniping. So it was actually a sub-art underneath teppojutsu, which is the art of sniping a person. The use of the concepts of being a sniper, but which was very effective. That was just an extenuation of the teachings, and you just kept going. You know, when you can, shoot him. When you can't, hit him with a stick. When you can't, cut him. When you can't, break his limbs. When you can't, just keep going.
So true practitioners in Japan didn't lay the sword down because they had a gun. But I'm talking Americans. Americans want McDonald's than cooking it at home. You know, we're a species now that are used to fast everything.
You turn the corner, and he's on you. There's always a corner. Mm-hmm. If it's Civil War style, there they are lined up. We're good. We got a saw. You know what that is? That new, it's semi-new.
That's a saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like saw, like.
Yeah. Yeah, then you're
The
good.
The guy in the Predator had one
Yeah,
of those.
then you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. You know. If it was Civil War style and you had that weapon, yeah. Well, then you don't need hand-to-hand combat. Because nobody's getting close.
Right.
When you turn the corner in your house and there's a person in your house,
then that's hand-to-hand close combat.
you know, I like the saying, people are always like, why would you train martial arts? You know, just call 911. I always like to say, when seconds count, don't worry, the police are only minutes away. You know, that's what I like. I love that saying. If you talk to an officer, a seasoned officer, if he's not overzealous, if he's being real, he's going to tell you that often, most often, he's the cleanup crew. That's what he does. He comes in after the stabbing. He comes in after something happened, after the person was attacked, after the person was beat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, so that person had a frying pan and they kept hitting you with it? Oh, okay. Well, let me write up a report. And that, unfortunately, they aren't psychic.
That's true.
They're just not psychic, and they can't get there before, and most of the time they can't get there during. It's just, you can't just, whoop, and I'm here. Okay, what's the problem? It just, you can't do that. And you know what? Running with the sirens on kind of ends the conflict. I've been in these encounters, but I've seen more than I've been in, and as soon as those sirens come blazing, people stop fighting and they run away.
Right.
So that cop, the cop saved us, kinda.
The cop saved himself.
Kinda.
The siren on.
Kinda.
You don't want to walk into a gunfight. That ought to clear the gunfight up. Yeah. I don't have to walk into a gunfight now. They heard me coming.
I can stop them.
Not saying that cops are like that, but
No.
I can imagine if you got a family to go home to, you'd run the siren. That's for sure.
Well, sure. No, that's what you do. You have to do it. I mean, it's important to show the flag. I mean, you know, the samurai showed up with the muln everywhere on them. You know, constantly. You know, if they had sirens, they would have been using them too.
God bless them. And that's one job to walk into a situation like that. God bless any cop out there watching, because that's.
I've taught countless police officers, and it is a rough job. It's a rough job. God bless you guys. Keep going. I'll teach you as much as I can, and we'll go on together. But in any case, the firearm is an extension of a warrior's arsenal. It is not to replace other skills. When he's on you, and should you be disarmed, you know, the blade could have been seen as the same. You know, this man has a 3-foot razor blade. How are you going to stop that? Every samurai knew that it could be stopped. That's why they carried a backup blade. And that 2-foot razor blade, you know, sometimes 1.5 feet, they knew that could be stopped, and that's why they carried their knives. And that's why they carried, you know, that knife could be lost inside one guy, and the next guy's coming. So they had a big piece of iron called a tessin. It kind of looked like a fan. It was really just a big piece of steel that cracked people's skulls open with. And then they had a jute, which was an arresting weapon. It was an iron trenchant, they called it. And then the English translated it into an iron trenchant. Big piece of steel that you crack people and break their bones with. And when that was gone, you had hand-to-hand combat. You know, and hand-to-hand combat was always a part of everything. When you were doing knife, you were doing hand-to-hand combat. Even the sword, the actual movements are the same. Whether that person's throwing punches or he's swinging a staff at you or whatever it might be. The evasions are the same. So the art is one whole entity. Well, when I'm teaching people how to shoot firearms, I'm saying this is Hongaku no Kamae, and this is how